Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm talking about beautifully boring makeup. So these are like my favorite neutral makeup products to use. I am someone that really loves neutral makeup products, and a lot of people, I guess, would classify them as boring products. And I just love beautiful, boring makeup. I love makeup that looks not very exciting, because to me, that is the most exciting stuff, is when you find products that you can incorporate into your everyday routine that just make your life and applying makeup easier. It makes your makeup, applying your makeup more fun. So I wanted to talk about those products today. I've already gone ahead and primed my eyes, and I'm just going to clip my hair back. I'm going to start off with my primer, and you guys have seen this. Like, this is what I do every time, and you're probably really over it, but I'm just going to show you again. Part of my beautifully boring routine is using something like this Chantecaille Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint, and I love to use this underneath makeup. Again, this is a pink tint. I don't know if you can even tell. This has a very, very slight pink tint to it. So even though I'm warmer complected, it doesn't come across as like really pink, like a very obvious pink. It is just subtly pink, and it is a gel consistency. So I really like these gel-based products because they're going to work well for all skin types. They're going to work well if you have dry skin because it's going to give you enough hydration, but it's going to work for oily skin because it's going to give you hydration without it being greasy. These gel-based products do dry down on the skin, so it makes it great for all skin types. And I really like this product, especially underneath makeup. Like I said, these do dry down, so they're very easily accessible for all skin types to use. And I really like this because it sits really beautifully under makeup because it does have that gel consistency. It's going to absorb into the skin. It's going to dry down so that your makeup is not going to look greasy over top of it. It's not going to pill. This is just a wonderful product. So I like to apply a little bit, and I will first run that underneath my eyes because I like to use this almost as a concealer primer. So because this has a little bit of that pink tint to it, it's going to subtly color correct my blue under eye circles. Just subtly though, that really sheer pink tint is just going to subtly brighten so that I don't need as much concealer over top. This also has a very slight sheen, but the sheen is a very skin perfecting sheen versus it being a shimmery, glittery sheen that's going to emphasize texture. This is just going to enhance your natural beauty. It's going to just be very, very sheer. It's not very noticeable. It's a very, very subtle, slightly pink highlight. And I like to tap a bit of that onto the cheekbones. I like to run the excess above the brows, and then I will take a little bit of that excess down the center of the nose as well. And I feel like these products are kind of beautifully boring skin complexion tints as well. I really, really love the Chantecaille Just Skin Tinted Moisturizers. Oh my gosh, they reformulated these, and these are so, so good. I have the shade Nude and the shade Glow, and honestly, my perfect combo is kind of in between. I just freshly self-tanned last night, so the shade Glow is gonna work a little bit better for me. The shade Nude, once my self-tan has like worn off quite a bit, I was sent the shade Glow, and then I purchased the shade Nude because I just loved it so much. I wanted to ensure that I had two of these in my routine so that it could suit my skin needs when I'm a little bit more tan and a little bit more pale. So I do like to give these a good shake. I do find that they work best, I don't know, when you give them a good shake. And I really love this version because the previous formulation I really, really enjoyed, but it had a little bit more coverage. I would say that that coverage was like a straight up medium. This one is buildable to almost a medium. I would say it performs probably best at like, it's like a high light coverage. But I really like that because I think for every day, for me, that is enough coverage. So I like to apply like a pea-sized amount, and I'll just apply it to the palm of my hand, and I will go in, and I'm taking this Rephr B04 brush, and I like to just distribute that product evenly on my brush so that I have an even amount of pigment that is on this brush, and then I will apply it to the skin from there. So I really like this product because it looks very natural on the skin. It pairs well with any other product that I want to apply over top. So sometimes if you use like a water-based foundation or something like that, it will counteract with the concealer and it will pill. But this product just works really well with any concealer that you pair it with, any powder. If you want to use creams, this pairs really beautifully with any cream product as well. I just really, really enjoy this for how it looks on the skin. This would be a great everyday foundation because of how it just looks on the skin. It looks so incredibly natural. It looks very skin-like. It's not quite a no makeup foundation. Like, it's not as light as the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. That one is definitely lighter coverage. It's not also not as light as like the Chanel Water Fresh Foundation, the Water Fresh Tint. That is quite a light coverage as well. This definitely has a bit more coverage than those products, so I feel like it works really great for every day. It also works great for any occasion sort of makeup, and I feel like that's what makes it like a great neutral basic or a beautifully boring product, is because it's buildable. It's not going to get you to full coverage though, so it's not going to be like a going out sort of look. Like, it's definitely more of a natural finish. I also love the finish of this product. So for me, this isn't as glowy as some of those skin tint products. I think Chantecaille does a really great job of balancing their skin complexion products so that they don't look too glowy if you have oily skin, but they're not going to be too drying if you have dry skin. They're like that perfect balance. So for me, this gives me a great natural finish. If you are someone with oily skin though, this might give you more of a satin finish. I don't think it would be a glowy finish because on me this does dry down, but I really like this because you can still see freckles through. And one of my favorite things about the skin tint is I feel like they made this formulation even better because the previous version didn't blur as well as this product does. This blurs any texture that you have on your face. If you have any dry patches, it just smooths over any dry patches. And yeah, I really like how it adds that soft focus filter effect, even though this is a lighter coverage foundation. It adds that effect, so it almost perfects in a way where your skin texture just looks more smooth versus it adding perfection by adding more coverage. Because I think that's what a lot of people associate maybe more blurring foundations to have more coverage, because you just associate more coverage with being more blurring. But this has like a very beautiful light refracting property where it blurs the skin that way versus it blurring the skin by adding coverage onto the face, if that makes sense. So I really love the filtered quality of this. It's just gorgeous. It's funny because I feel like in my last video I called out this foundation, but I feel like my second favorite beautifully boring foundation product would be this Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation, just because it is so good on the skin. It's very similar, like I said, to this Tinted Moisturizer, except it has a little bit less coverage, and I just find this, it's so beautiful because it's undetectable on the skin. This is the type of product where it does look like no makeup, and it really just makes your skin look like it's more beautiful. So I love that on the skin as well. And moving on to concealer, I feel like my favorite beautifully boring product and something that's just so reliable is the Surratt Dewdrop Concealer. This is something that you guys have heard me talk about so often. Like, this is my holy grail concealer. And I know I've talked about a lot of new concealer releases, and I still really like those products, but like I've stated in those videos, the Surratt Dewdrop is still my #1 concealer. Now, I was sent the shade #4 from Surratt, and then I repurchased the shade #5 because #4 was just a little bit too deep for me. So 5, I think, is like the perfect shade for me. It matches my complexion product, but I think the combo of 4 and 5 together, or just using 4, is probably a little bit better for me. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that Surratt concealer, if you didn't see. So this is the shade 5. It's just a little bit more yellow toned than the shade #4. I like to distribute the concealer there. You can also just apply it from the doe foot applicator, but I just like a little bit more control with my concealer. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this BK Beauty, the Nikki LaRose collab, not the shade, the brush number N16. And I'm going to pick it up from my hand. And again, I always like to apply product on the palm of my hand versus the back of my hand. The back of your hand has pores, and it will absorb a lot of that product before you get to use it. And I just like to buff that on the under eye region. I do not take it up very close to my lash line, because if you apply product too close to your lash line, it's just going to sit in those lines there, and it is not going to perform as well, and you're maybe going to notice more product like settling in those areas. And I also like to just clean up that outer corner right here, because I have a little bit of darkness there, and I like to add like a lifted effect to my eyes. So that will kind of help with that youthful effect and make your eyes look just more wide awake, a little bit more youthful and like younger, I want to say. So I just love this concealer because it's so consistent. I can be at the very ends of this concealer and it will still perform just as well as if I just bought this concealer. It holds up all day long. That is the most impressive thing, is that when I apply this concealer, it looks just as fantastic as it did in the morning as it does towards the end of the day. is just so good. It sits on the under eye region. It doesn't crease throughout the day. It doesn't settle throughout the day. It just holds up so well. It has that blurring capability under the eye, which you know, I always love a blurring capability. It just is so good. It doesn't settle. It doesn't fade away. It doesn't crease. It doesn't look too dry at the end of the day. It doesn't look too cakey. It's just the best concealer ever. And if you haven't tried it yet, please do. I do have a discount count with Surratt. It is Lisa15 if you want a 15% off discount code. I know Surratt is pricey, but trust me, this concealer is worth it. It is so, so good. So even though I went in with the Chantecaille Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint underneath my makeup, because I used such a sheer foundation, you can still see it subtly shining through. And also, I applied that concealer over top of that Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint, and I didn't require as much concealer as normal because that added a slight color correcting effect. So I really love using those products in tandem together. Sometimes I do like to just go over everything with a damp Beauty Blender sponge just to ensure everything is seamless. And over the skin, I always love to take this Shiseido brush and I will literally just run over everything to make sure that everything looks completely even on the skin, that there's no foundation just like maybe sitting in one area of the face. I especially like to go over the nose and the front of my face here because makeup can look the heaviest in these areas, especially when you're one-on-one with someone and you're in person and they're up close. You can really see makeup in that area. So I just like to really, really go over top of that area to make sure nothing is sitting in those areas on my skin. My next beautifully boring product is the Hermes. It's the Healthy Glow Mineral Powder in the shade O2 Atlas. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that I'm continually using this. At least you guys know that how much I love this product. Like for me, this is absolutely worth the money because I consistently use it. So I do like to just go in with a Rephr 22 brush and I'll just go in and I'll slowly build it onto the skin. You do not need a lot of product at once. Even though this is a more sheer product and it is very buildable on the skin, and you do like maybe need a little bit of a heavier hand, you can still go in sheer layers and just apply that product. So you just see me dabbing into it once or twice and then applying it onto the skin. That way it's just gonna build on the skin so much more naturally. It's going to look just better. You're not going to ruin your product going in with it this way. You're just gonna have so much more control when you apply product little by little onto your complexion this way, and it's not gonna run away from you. Sometimes makeup products can end up looking splotchy in some areas, but this product is just so reliable because even if I did apply it heavier handed, it is so buttery, it is so easy to blend, it is so smoothing on the skin. Again, this is another blurring complexion product, so if you're looking for like the ultimate blur on your skin, get this product and you will not be sorry. It's so good. It's seriously the best bronzer. Another thing I really like to do is I will take this BK Beauty 202 brush and I'll dip a little bit of product into that bronzer, again, always tapping the excess off, and I'll run a little bit into like the outer corner, kind of where I apply that concealer in that lifting shape. I'll bring it up to the temple and bring it through the crease of my eye as well. Just to add a little bit of color there that I added to my complexion just makes the full result look a little bit more natural, and it just makes it all come together and look just really beautifully monochromatic. Now this is a product that I feel like is highly underrated and something that is pretty beautifully boring, but this is the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Highlighting Blush. This is in the shade Opal Glow. This is like the most beautiful combo of like a pink and a champagne and like just a skin tone beige. It is so glossy on the skin. So this is like a skin gloss. This is basically looks like a liquid illuminator, but it's in a powder form. So you get that ease of application that it applies very easily because it's a powder, but it looks like a liquid illuminator. It looks like just you've applied this glossy film to your skin. It looks like your skin is just healthy and glowing versus it looking like a powder product. This is not powdery on the skin at all. And it feels very creamy and very silky when you put your hand on it. I know it's called a highlighting blush. Don't let that name deceive what this product is. This is a highlighter, but it is just such a skin perfecting highlighter. It does not emphasize texture. I'll just apply it to the very high points of the cheeks. Like, it looks like skin gloss. It really looks like your skin is healthy and so beautiful. I love this product. This performs like a high-end product, and it just looks so boring. Like, I feel like no one would think to buy this. Like, I don't hear anyone talk about this product because it's just one of those boring products that you'd be like, I don't know, but it's just so useful in my routine because of how skin-like it looks. Like, I can get this to look like it was in a liquid illuminator, and it just applies so beautifully to the skin. I also like to run the excess product on the inner corners of the eyes, and I'll take a little bit on my eyelids. One of my favorite Beautifully Boring products is this Merit Signature Lightweight Lipstick. I have literally gone through 2 or 3 of these. I love this product so much, so I like to apply it on my lips. This is like the perfect neutral pink. It's like a pinky beige. It doesn't lean too rose toned though, or too cool toned as a pink. It's the perfect neutral tone, so I find that I can just pair anything with it. And then another product I really like, just if I want to pale it down a little bit, is this Victoria Beckham lip gloss in the shade Bikini. Like, this is just a pale beige lip balm that you'd be like, that's so boring, like why would I even buy it? But it's so useful. Again, these are reliable products. These are products that I consistently use. You guys really liked my last video where I mentioned 5 favorites, and I thought I'd kind of continue on with that video and show you more of my reliable products, because these are the products that I consistently reach for because of how beautifully boring that is. Like, this is such a boring color, but it works in every instance. It can suit any makeup look. So I do, with my lip colors, I like to basically apply them to my lips and almost wipe them off, because I don't think a harsh lip, like, I don't look good with anything that's too high definition or too high colored. I almost like my lip product to be applied and then wiped away so that it looks a little bit more lived in, a little bit more natural. So it almost looks like my lips have just a little bit of tint to them. I probably should have applied the lip color and then more wiped it off and then applied the lip gloss over top. I just think that's such a good color combination because it's so neutral that I can pair any sort of eye look with it. Obviously, in today's video, because I'm doing it like beautifully boring, I'm going to pair it with something very nice and neutral. I can really pair this with any sort of eye look that I wanted because it's so neutral leaning, and it just suits any sort of circumstance. And now because I have the lips on, I feel like I can move on to the cheeks, and I feel like it's been a while since I've mentioned these Valentino. These are the Eye to Cheek dual use blush and shadow. I just love these blushes. They're hands down just some of the best blushes on the market. I really, really, really love them. These almost have like, they're a very creamy powder is how I want to describe them. They're almost a powder to cream formula where you apply them like a powder product and they meld into the skin like a cream. They actually really, I would say the most similar formula is this new Chanel. This is the Jouer Contrast Intense Cream to Powder Blush. I am still trying these out, but I really, really like this formula, I want to say. This really reminds me of the Valentino formula. I did pick up the shade Beige Eclatant, and I have to say I really, really, really am enjoying this product so far. But I wanted to talk about this because those Chanel blushes, I don't know how they're going to hold up over time. I don't know if they're going to like hard pan, not necessarily hard pan, but if they're going to get that weird film over top where they're going to be unusable. I just haven't tried them out as much as these Valentino, and I know these Valentino blushes are very reliable, so I wanted to talk about more of those products today. I'm going to pick up this Valentino blush with a Rephr 05, and I like this because you can just apply these with regular brushes. You don't need any special brush to apply these, and I like to just apply a little bit of product. Like I said, I always go in with a small amount of product. I tap off that excess, and I'm going to start with the shade number 9. Which is this beautiful neutral tone. So this is like actually very similar to that Chanel blush that I just swatched. It's definitely heavier in pigmentation. Like the Chanel blush is much more of a sheer formulation. And this definitely has more like of a salmon-y tone. This is a peachy, it's like a peach, pink, and beige blush all mixed into one. But I would say it leans more peachy than any other. Like it doesn't lean more on the pink side compared to the peach. Like if you're saying it's a peachy pink beige, it definitely leans more towards the peachy side than it does the pinky side. I do actually wish that they had a similar color, like this exact same color, but I wish it was more cool toned on the pinky side just because sometimes you just want a more pink shade. So again, I'm picking up more of that and I'm applying it to the cheeks. Now, I will say this cheek shade is definitely a little bit warmer in comparison to what I have on my cheeks, but I can show you an easy way to fix that. I'm gonna run a little bit of that across the eyelid. Sometimes I'll even take it above the brows just to ensure it's evenly distributed throughout the face, so it's not like I have just like straight color there. I have it in a little bit more areas of the face, which is kind of why I don't like to cancel out my whole complexion using foundation. I like to have skin texture showing through because I still think you get that really nice look to your skin when you have a little bit of your skin texture showing through. So I love this as an everyday shade just because it's so perfect. But say my lip was like a little bit cooler toned, something that I really like to do is just, this is the shade number 2 for Valentino, and you can see it is very vivid pink. It is very cool toned, and this is something that might freak you out to use, but literally if I just want to cool down the look ever so slightly, add a little bit of that rosy tone, a little bit of a pop of color, but obviously this color is just going to be very high contrast in comparison to my complexion. So I like to pair it with these sorts of shades from Valentino that's more neutral. I'll just literally take one dab of that, maybe even 2 if I'm feeling crazy, tap off that excess, and then I will just apply it on like the very high points of the cheek just to add a little bit of that cool tone. So maybe it matches the lips a little bit better. And it just pairs so beautifully. I love mixing these together. And this will just make the blush look a little bit more neutral tone versus it leaning more towards the warm side. I feel like another really boring but useful product are these Victoria Beckham eye wands. And not necessarily just these Victoria Beckham. I just really love the formulation of this. My favorite shade is the shade Trench. I really wish the shade Pecan, like I wish she had a tone that was in between Pecan and Trench, because the Pecan shade is just a little bit too deep for me. Trench is this beautiful warm beige, so it's basically my skin tone but 1 shade, maybe 2 shades deeper. So it works really, really well as a transition shade. This is just such an easy shade for me to pop on. So user-friendly, so reliable, because these apply on the eyelids like a dream. You can just apply them messily and they just blend out so, so easily. So I'm going to take this BK Beauty A501 brush and I'm just going to run over the edges of that product just to make sure everything is blended out into my skin. But if you can't tell, this is virtually the exact same shade as my skin tone. And these eye wands, they're just so easy to use on a daily basis. And I really like that this is so close to my complexion because it makes it so easy to wear, makes it so easy to pair with any look. It just goes well with anything. And I love that I can apply these, I can blend them out. I have ample time to blend out this product, but then it's going to set down onto my eyes and it's not going to move at all throughout the day. This will stay how it is looking all day long. I also like to take that product underneath the lash line. So I'll take it from the outer corner inwards. And then again, I will smudge it out with this BK Beauty 204 brush. So I've just applied eyeshadow in such an easy way. And it looks really effortless. And again, it's just reliable because I can pair this with any look. I know it's going to wear all day long. I know it's going to just suit anything. It makes a great base for anything I want to layer over top. So I could go in with another cream eyeshadow, I could go in with a powder eyeshadow, I could go in with a shimmery eyeshadow over top. I think that's what I'll do today to just kind of show you. And I feel like this product will absolutely be no surprise. This is the Mermaid eye color from Chantecaille in the shade Copper. I adore these. These are one of my holy grail products, and these are so great to use on an everyday basis, but not only an everyday basis, they just pair well for any look. This is called the shade Copper, but it's not a copper tone. It's almost like a light shimmery beige. It has warm tones to it, but it's very neutral. It's not completely warm tone. I feel like copper is a deceiving name. It's like perfectly beige, gold, bronze, taupe. It has like all those colors mixed into one. And this is just the most sophisticated shimmer. I would never use like a Natasha Denona or a Pat McGrath shadow on an everyday basis. That's just too much shimmer payoff. It's like it's a glitter basically, and this is a shimmer. This is an elegant sheen. It's a sophisticated shimmer where it just makes your eyes look slightly more shimmery And oh, it's so beautiful because it's such an elegant sheen versus it being a chunky shimmer where you have shimmer chunks and shimmer flecks, and you can see that chunky texture sitting on the skin. There are no textured pieces to this. This just gives you a beautiful, elegant sheen. I can even apply a little bit to the tips of that and apply it down on the lower lash line as well. And like I said, this just pairs very well for every day because it's such a neutral, beautiful tone. It's not too shimmery where it's going to be over noticeable, but it's just going to give you that elegant everyday sheen where your eyes, your beauty is naturally enhanced versus it making it look like obvious makeup. I just love that on a daily basis, so it just pairs well with that Victoria Beckham really well. I'm using a lot of Victoria Beckham in this look, but this is something that, again, I feel like if your eyes are this soft, maybe you'll want to add a tiny bit of definition to your eyes. I know some people find that they need a little bit of definition, so I would take this Victoria Beckham. This is the Satin Kajal eyeliner in the shade Cinnamon, which is just the best. Warm brown with a little bit of a sheen to it. It's not like a very shimmery sheen, but there is just a slight sheen. And I love the warm brown because it pulls the blue out of my eyes. It just makes my eyes pop slightly. So I'm literally smudging that into the lash line from the outer corner inwards. And this way I'm going to get a very soft line versus it drawing, like if I draw it right against the eye line, then it's going to look a little bit heavier. And also this eyeliner is just so creamy and highly pigmented. It can look a little bit harsh if you apply it directly that way. So I like to have a lot more control of the eyeliner by applying it to the brush first and then distributing it to the top lash line. I just get a lot more control and it's going to look a lot softer that way. So I feel like everything is very beautifully neutral here. I wanted to mention that Hermes Healthy Glow Mineral Powder that I use, I really love this as more of a skin enhancer versus an actual bronzer. If I wanted to add a little bit more bronzer, using something like this Surratt, this is the Soleil Doux Artistique Bronzer, would be really nice to add just a little bit more definition. It's a little bit more neutral toned than the Hermes. The Hermes leans quite warm. So this would be a great transition because sometimes I find the Surratt just like a little bit too deep if I add it directly onto my complexion. But if I add this, this acts as like a transition shade where this bronzer will just flatter me even more. I can maybe just go in with a bit just to show you. Where did my brush go? Here. So I could take just like a little bit more of that bronzer. Again, I just apply a tiny teensy bit, get that excess off. And I could just run over everything just to add a little bit, slight more contrast to the look, but it is still very natural. And of course, to finalize the complexion, taking my favorite powder, this is the Clé de Peau Refining Pressed Powder, and I'm just going to take a little bit on this rougher 18 brush. I like to apply it just to the center of my face, just because I feel like having a natural finish is just going to be the most flattering for this look. I obviously want my skin to look really blurred and filtered, but in a natural way, and this does not add any color or coverage. This is literally just adding that perfecting filtered effect to my skin, and it is just the best powder in the entire universe. You have heard me talk on and on about that. I just went ahead and applied one coat of the Chantecaille Faux Longest Lash Mascara. I'm so impressed that this is just one coat of this mascara, and I think it just defines and lengthens the lashes. This is perfect for on an everyday basis. It really suits this beautifully boring look. And Chantecaille, please come out with this mascara in a brown shade. I would absolutely love to see this in a brown. Black mascara, it works for me. Like I can get away with it, but I feel like I suit a brown mascara more. So I would just love to see Chantecaille release this in a brown shade. But that is it for my beautifully boring makeup favorites. These are also like my neutral nude luxury beauty favorites. But I wanted to put a look together where I applied all these beautifully boring products to create a beautifully boring makeup look. And obviously this is just something, these are all my like reliable makeup products that I can just trust on an everyday basis. I know that they're going to perform really great and they just apply beautifully every time. These are products that when I don't know what to do with my makeup, these I can just pair together and I know they will always look amazing each and every time. They just will always have a complete look and they'll just always hold up really great and they have great longevity. They also, so the important things for a beautifully boring look, again, reliable makeup, is that they will look really good together. They will perform great together. They have great longevity. They are just going to last all day long. They're going to look good from day to night, like say I am doing a day to night. They're going to be beautifully blurring on the skin. They're going to be neutral. So they're going to pair with any sort of eye look. They're also going to pair, if I decide to wear a bright color, it's going to pair really nicely with that as well. I just think that these sort of looks are going to suit any sort of skin tone, and it's just a fail-safe look. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear from you some of your favorite, just reliable makeup products, those beautifully boring products that you always pull for on an everyday basis. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it. I'll see you in my next video.